Hello everyone. In today's video, it's going to be real quick. It's going to be a fast technique Tuesday, and I was just playing around. Sometimes futzing in the studio is the best thing you can do to save your sanity. So I was working in my studio and I decided to do a different way of painting a tree, and that is to, well, I'll show it to you, but this is the tree. But first, my name is Rachel Parker Varner. I like to teach not just the how, but the why of watercolor, so you move along your painting journey a lot faster. I have 2 free online communities you can join, and I have a paid online school. I'll talk about all that at the end of this video, but for now, let's jump into how I painted this tree. I took a slightly different route than what I normally would, so it's got a fun twist in it. Here we go. All right, I really like this tree, and I just did a fun beginning to a tree for another tutorial, and it made me think, oh, I should do a real fast demo on just whatever paper. I'm pretty sure this is Stonehenge Hot, and I'm just curious. This was done on Arsh, the back of a bad painting. So this might turn into a beautiful painting. It might not. You never know, do you? You just never know what these paintings are going to give you. So I'm going to show you real fast before my son gets home and everything is crazy. I'm going to dry brush, clean, clear water on. Okay. So I'm doing a dry brush technique. I just did a full dry brush extravaganza video, and this is an example of where I'm dry brushing on water. So some of the paper stays completely dry, just sparkles of dry paper. And what that will do, hopefully, this one didn't react as like my other paper did. I think it was rough or cold press, so it really nubbled out really interesting. Hot press is a smooth surface, so it's going to react completely different. So I'm just getting some Daniel Smith permanent green light, some cobalt mixed in, about milk consistency, and I'm painting a line down the middle so I can see where the middle of my tree is. And then I'm brushing out with organic brush marks using the side of my brush, and despite that, it's not doing what I want it to do. So I'm going to take my finger and I'm just going to scrub stuff around. I want to make it look more organic. I want this to look like a tree, not like it was painted on by a human. So because it wasn't doing what I expected it to do, which is fine, you can use other techniques. That's what's so amazing about watercolor, y'all. There's so many different ways to get a really cool outcome. I just use my finger and I find using my finger so often for painting a tree like this, and fur too, gives really interesting edges that makes it look more organic. And then I add some blue, some thick cobalt blue, and then I spatter some just watery, almost clean, clear water, but it has a little bit of paint in my brush. And I'm just spattering to break all this up, because you don't want your tree to look stiff and brushed on. You want it to look organic. So you can mush at it. You can scrub at the edges with your finger. You can splat water into it. And all this will help your tree look more natural and organic. And then I'm taking really watery, almost just water, but with a little bit of paint added. This is what we call tea consistency paint that is really, really light. So I attach my tree to the ground. You really want to attach anything you're painting to something. And in this case, I attached my tree to the ground. I just thought in my mind's eye, well, I'll make it look like very light snow. And then I'm spattering with my Indian yellow. Indian yellow is my new obsession, my new play that I like to just play with when I'm just enjoying the process of painting and not trying to make something pretty. Indian yellow explodes often on my paper, and it mixes with the wet paint that's on your paper often and makes the most beautiful textures, especially with granulating paints. I will link some of the videos where I share that in the comments. So be sure to check out my pinned comment below, not my description, but my pinned comment, and look how those cauliflowers, because I splatted clean, clear water. You can also sprinkle some salt and see if it'll do some interesting cauliflower effects. It just looks so organic. But you don't want your tree to look flat. Your tree's going to look flat if it's all medium and light values. You want some super darks. And full disclosure, I could have gotten parts of my tree even darker than I did. So here I'm using Payne's Gray, which is a really dark paint. It's a convenience mix of phthalo blue and lamp black, basically. So I don't want my tree to look flat and one-dimensional. And remember, values, the lights, mediums, and darks do all the hard work in any painting. And color steals the glory. And see, it dried really light. So I could really go in there and put some darks in, and this tree would pop even more. So you want a little bit of dark values in your painting almost always for contrast and depth. It's a common beginner mistake not to have darks. And I myself could put more darks in. Maybe I will. Let's watch. Voiceover Rachel forgets what I did. Okay, here's some salt. I recently also did a video about how to get the best salt effects. One being using a paint with phthalo blue in it, which Payne's Gray does. So I thought I would sprinkle a little table salt onto my painting to see if it would give me some more tree textures. And the planets have to align for it to work sometimes. So it works a lot better if you use more salt interacting paints, like phthalo blue is one that really works well for me. I'm spatting a little bit more water during buckling stage where you can get cauliflowers. All right, everything is completely dry. I've brushed off the salt, and now I'm just going to indulge in that last bit of futzing that probably isn't necessary. I think my tree looks so loose and dreamy. I just love it. I'm happy with it as it is. But I'm getting really watery green, and I'm mixing it with cobalt and aureolin or Indian yellow, doesn't matter, but just really watery. I'm just curious to see if I put some watermarks on top of this dried tree, what it would look like. And truly, it doesn't need it. I'm just curious what it would look like if I use like barely any paint in my water, like dirty water, spatters and little details. What would it look like? It really doesn't need it. And anyway, this tree is purely for fun. And I'm showing you how drippy my paint is. It's just so watery. And I'm just spattering on a little bit for extra detail. And remember, if you paint this on cold press or rough press, it'll look really different. I think it'll still be very pretty, but it'll have a different look. Hot press is notorious for really having a very unique look. Again, this is my 8 round, just spattering on here and there, a very watery green. And I blot up a lot of my spatter around the tree because a little bit of spatter goes a long way. So you don't want it to start screaming for more attention than what the tree should get. So that's another reason why I'm keeping this so watery. I don't want dark spatter. It would start getting too busy and I would lose the dreaminess. And then I have puddles on my paper, so I'm curious what would it look like if I shook it? Would that look interesting? I think it does look interesting. All right, thank you so much for joining me for this little tutorial, and I hope you got a lot out of it. It's really fun. Half the battle, I think, to getting an interesting looking tree is using paper that allows for the style that you want. And I painted, let's see, this is Fabriano Enhanced Cold Press. This is another tree you might be interested in that is in one of my Christmas tree tutorials. But this, I use kind of the opposite effect. I put on dry brush and then I sprayed it with clean clear water. And this one, of course, I painted with clean clear water on the bare paper and then painted my tree in and then splashed a little. And I really like how it came out. I think it's really pretty. I'm going to let Rachel from a few days ago explain to you about my free online communities and my online school. Here we go. I'd like to tell you a little bit about my online school, my paid offerings, which is Patreon. Patreon is a website where a lot of different artists are hosted, and it's set up for artists by artists to give artists an opportunity for income that doesn't go like this. So the way that it works for you is if you subscribe to me, you pay a monthly fee, and in exchange you get unlimited access to a library of over 200 tutorials now. There's advanced, there's intermediate, there's beginner, there's lots of animals. For me, I focus on loose, dreamy, impressionistic animals, but I do have some landscapes, I do have some portraits. Going into 2026, I'm going to simplify my Patreon. And it is never a better time to join than now, because my prices will go up to reflect my larger library, my improved teaching skills, and my improved painting skills. So every year in January, my prices go up. But if you join in 2025, you lock in those prices and your price will not go up. You will not lose access to anything. In fact, the way that I'm doing it this year, because I'm so appreciative of everything that Patreon and my online school has made possible for me, I am going to make it so that if you join in 2025, you actually gain more access than you had in 2025. You have more access to more tutorials in 2026. So if you join at my $9 level, you're going to get new access to $13 tutorials. And if you're a $13 member, you're going to get new access to $30 tutorials. And if you're a $30 member and you've been with me if you pay for a year, I am going to offer you your choice of an original. I have many originals available, and I'm also lowering the price to be a $30 member tier student of mine, because 2025 was a great year for me and I feel appreciative, so I want to give back and show my appreciation to those of you in my online school. So join in 2025 before my prices go up, so that you lock them in. So when the new prices go into effect, you'll have more access for a lower price. And as long as you stay subscribed, your price will not go up. And in fact, the only way your price would go up is if you unsubscribe and come back. Then you will have to resubscribe at the higher prices. The lower prices will no longer be available. So that's a little bit about how my Patreon works. If you have more questions, be sure to go on my chat section on Patreon and ask questions, or on my Facebook group, you're welcome to ask questions. And if you're not ready to become a paid member, you can join my Patreon for free to kind of kick the tires and stay in touch with everything that I'm doing. Get updates. For example, I've got a cruise planned for 2027 in the summer to Alaska with 3 watercolor instructors, one being me, and the other being Dean Krauser, and the third is my very talented friend Barbie Mathis, who's going to teach a beginner level tutorial on that cruise. So we'll be painting at days at sea, and then for the days that we're in port, we'll be going our separate ways and doing fun things. So it's definitely a good idea for you to bring your partner or a friend who's not painting. They are welcome, and I encourage you to have your friends and family come too and book more cabins, because the more cabins y'all book, the better I can compensate my artists that are coming with me on the cruise. So thank you so much for participating in my fun things and joining for free and my online school. And I really appreciate you all. Now go watercolor your world. Bye, everybody.